On this episode of See Indonesia, we will bring you to the culturally diverse region of West Kalimantan and take a cruise on the longest river in Indonesia. Reveal the rich ethnic Chinese heritage of the city of 1,000 temples, as well as learn some traditional dances in an authentic Dayak longhouse. Come see the beauty, only on See Indonesia.
See the beauty? Only on See Indonesia.
Every great civilization starts with a river. Having a settlement built on a riverbank gives you access to water, fertile land, and easy mobility. And all these resources, in turn, attract people from all walks of life, each of them seeking their own fortune. So, it's only natural that Indonesia's longest river, the Kapuas, is home to one of the country's most diverse and thriving regions, West Kalimantan. This province is home to many different cultures and ethnicities, with the most visible ones being the Dayak, the Chinese, and the Malays. And on today's episode, we're going to dig deeper into each one of them, from their traditions, their heritage, their food, and their arts. Starting with the city in the middle of the world, Pontianak. Pontianak is known as Equator City, as the city sits right on top of the imaginary line which splits the northern and southern hemisphere. The city began as a small Malay fishing village on the mouth of the Kapuas River. But over the years, it grew to become the proud capital of the Sultanate of Pontianak, a sultanate that still exists to this day.
Right, so now we're at the royal palace of the Pontianak Sultanate, established all the way back in the late 18th century. Now, the Sultanate itself had a huge influence in the Indonesia that we know today. In fact, one of the past sultans, that is Sultan Hamid II, was actually responsible for the national symbol of the Garuda. So I'm keen to learn more about the history of the Sultanate itself and of Pontianak, and who better to tell me about it than the actual current Sultan himself. So let's go do that.
Sultan Sharif Mahmud Al-Qadri is the 9th Sultan of the Pontianak Sultanate. And up until now, the royal palace continues to practice traditional Malay ceremonies and customs.
Kalau Istana Qadriya ini sering digunakan untuk acara-acara besar Islam, seperti haul, kemudian acara Maulid, Isra Mi'raj, Hari Jadi Kota Pontianak. Nah, ini yang rutinitas kita laksanakan untuk kegiatan tahunannya.
The royal palace that we're seeing now was built all the way back in 1771. The palace holds some historic artifacts that the Sultanate has kept over the years. One of them being a pair of large twin mirrors gifted by the French, known also as the 1,000 Mirrors, owing to the endless reflections that they create when facing one another. The royal palace also holds an exhibit showcasing Sultan Hamid II's contribution in designing what eventually became the national symbol of Indonesia, the Garuda Pancasila. The Pontianak Sultanate officially joined Indonesia after the country declared its independence in 1945, and while it no longer rules the region as an independent sultanate, Sultan Al-Qadri still believes that there's an important role that he must uphold.
Jadi kalau peran daripada saya sebagai Sultan Pontianak untuk tetap menjaga kelestarian budaya adat istiadat tadi. Jangan sampai adat istiadat budaya hilang dengan sendirinya. Ini yang harus tetap saya jaga. Mengenai tentang hal-hal adat istiadat dari luar ini sudah mulai masuk ke wilayah Kalimantan Barat, khususnya di wilayah Kota Pontianak. Maka dari itu, peran serta saya sebagai Sultan ini tetap untuk mempertahankan nilai budaya, pelestarian budaya, adat istiadat. Itu tugas saya untuk jangan sampai adat-adat budaya, pelestarian budaya ini punah.
Back during the colonial era, the Pontianak Sultanate had strong trade relations with both the Dutch and Chinese. Thanks to its strategic location at the mouth of the triple junction of the Kapuas and Landak rivers. To this day, Pontianak is shaped by the mighty Kapuas River, and I believe that you haven't truly visited a riverfront city if you haven't cruised the river itself. So, I did just that. The Kapuas River is the lifeblood of the locals, providing plentiful fish and means of transportation. Large ferries can be seen transporting huge amounts of people and cargo, from one side of the river to the other multiple times a day. But the river can be a source of recreation as well, as now some parts of the riverside has provided various attractions for both locals and tourists. The most iconic one is the double-decker sightseeing boats, which light up the river after sundown with its colorful decorations.
Now, as you can imagine, the Kapuas River is an integral part of Pontianak and its identity. It basically defines the city. So a visit to Pontianak wouldn't be complete if you didn't at least go on these river cruises. Now, these boats here, they have an open top deck, which I recommend you go to when you go down these tours, because it offers a nice 360 view of the entire city. And while you're at it, you can also enjoy some nice and refreshing snacks and beverages.
As enjoyable as it is, cruising down the river and eating banana fritters, West Kalimantan isn't just Pontianak, and not just Malay culture either. After this, we're heading north to the region's second largest city, Singkawang, to show you the city's incredible Chinese roots. So, stick around.
See the beauty? Only on See Indonesia. See the beauty? Only on See Indonesia.
West Kalimantan is no stranger to Chinese culture. But one city stands out amongst the rest, and that is Singkawang. Located 3 hours north of Pontianak and dubbed the City of 1,000 Temples, Singkawang is one of the most iconic cities in Indonesia, specifically because of its rich and storied ethnic Chinese community. Chinese settlers began making their home in what is now Singkawang since as early as the 18th century. And now, the Chinese community and their culture is as strong as ever. And among the many ethnic Chinese families who've called this city their home, only one house has stood the test of time.
So over 100 years ago, in the city of Xiamen, in the province of Fujian, southeastern China, there was a great famine, and poverty was at an all-time high. It was during this time that a young farmer by the name of Xie Xiaoqi decided to escape, venture out, and try his luck somewhere outside of China. So he got on a boat, bounced around a bit, when eventually he landed right here in Singkawang. And he built that house that still stands to this day and still houses many of his descendants several hundred years after he had built it. in 1901. So there's lots of history to uncover here, so let's go take a closer look.
Near the city center, tucked away behind the main road of the Hong Kong market, is the ancestral house of Jie Xiaoxi, better known as the House of the Chia clan. The house is currently 122 years old, and it's still being used by Jie Xiaoxi's direct descendants. During our visit, we were able to meet up with one of the members of the Chia clan who lives in this historic building. Chia Chiem Chong, the great-grandson of Jie Xiaoxi. Mr. Chong has lived in this house nearly all his life and was happy to tell us more about its history.
Marga Chia ini semua penghuni marga Chia, ya, semua saudara marga Chia. Di pinggir sebelah kiri, sebelah kanan itu semua penghuni. Jadi kalau dihitung kakaknya 7 kakak. Jadi beliau itu anaknya 7. Sekarang udah keturunan ke-8.
Yang paling muda tinggal sini umur berapa, Pak?
Oh, paling kecil itu 5 tahun.
Dan yang tertua?
Yang tertua saya.
The Chia clan house was built in the style of a Sihei Yuan, which is a common type of residential building found across China, also commonly referred to as a courtyard house. This style is characterized by a sizable courtyard in the middle, surrounded by buildings on all 4 sides. This traditional layout reflects ancient Chinese values and Confucian ethics, with the building on the north side of the courtyard being designated as the main building, as it receives the most amount of sunlight, thus reserved only for the most senior members of the family, such as Mr. Chong. The local government has named this house a cultural heritage site, and visitors from all over are free to visit the house. However, you do have to understand that this is still an actual home to several families, so it's important to be mindful and respect the boundaries when visiting.
Kalau tamu datang, kita masuk aja, nggak boleh diusir. Soalnya udah dimasuk ke buku, di mana marga Chia di Singkawang itu ya, nah, udah ternama. Jadi dia orang datang, kita nggak boleh usir. Asal yang sopan, biar manapun di pancanegara datang, kita sambut. Kalau misalnya saya nggak ada sini, dia orang jalan-jalan aja, gitu.
Dan keluarga-keluarga yang tinggal sini nggak apa-apa?
Nggak apa-apa.
Tidak ada masalah?
Nggak masalah, asal kita sopan santunnya terjaga udah.
The Chinese people have been around for hundreds of years in Singkawang, and it is no surprise that many of their age-old traditions are continually passed down to future generations. And some of those traditions involve some very tasty delicacies. Right beside the Chia clan house lies an equally important Singkawang institution, Choi Pan To Che, which serves, as the name suggests, Choi Pan.
Right, so we got ourselves here a plate of Choi Pan, which is Hakka Chinese for pastry or cake filled with vegetables. Now from the offset, it looks kind of like Japanese gyoza or those types of dumplings, with some very key differences, namely the filling itself is not meat, it is fully vegetables. It's filled with vegetables such as yam and chives and bamboo shoots, or a mixture of all of those. And also the skin itself is much more glutinous because they use rice flour. So I'm going to go ahead and try it out. They also serve it with some fried garlic. I'm going to try it out with their homemade chili sauce as well. Bon appetit.
Everything on the plate here is made in-house, starting from the dough to the various different types of filling to the chili sauce. There are 4 different variants of choy pan offered: jikama, chives, bamboo shoots, and taro. Each of them completely unique to one another, so I suggest you try each one of them and see which one you like the best.
That's really good. The chili sauce is a bit more tangy than it is spicy. Oh, never mind. The spice is kicking in now. And the filling, even though it's veggies, it still has a nice texture that contrasts the sticky rice flour casing. So overall, a great little morning snack.
Singkawang still has a lot more stories to tell, and I promise you we will get to them. But for now, we'll have to continue with our journey as we head deeper into West Kalimantan and learn the ancient traditions and arts of the region's true natives, the Dayak. So, don't go anywhere.
See the beauty? Only on See Indonesia. See the beauty? Only on See Indonesia.
Before the Dutch and before the Chinese, there were the Dayak, the proud and fierce warriors of Kalimantan's rivers and hills. The Dayak people have their own unique dialects, customs, laws, and arts, many of which still persist to this day. However, it is important to note that there is no one singular Dayak tribe. Dayak refers to more than 200 different ethnic groups with their own unique characteristics. However, they do have some key similarities. A prime example of that are their massive, imposing longhouses. The Dayak are one of the most fascinating indigenous tribes in Indonesia, and naturally, I wanted to learn more about their culture. And so, to do just that, we visited this traditional Dayak longhouse in Samalantan to meet with one of the local village elders.
Nama saya F.A. Muksin. Ya. Kedudukan saya di Dewan Adat Kecamatan itu sebagai penasehat.
Mr. Muksin formerly serves as the head of the Dayak Tribe Council in Samalantan. In 1996, he led the construction of this longhouse in order to accommodate the ceremonial needs of the local tribes. In terms of size, it is a relatively small longhouse, but it's no less important.
Begini, di Dayak itu kan 400 lebih ya, subsuku ya. Jadi barangkali berbeda-beda sebutannya. Masing-masing daerah agak beda ya. Ada mungkin nyebut itu tadi rumah panjang, ada radang, ada bantang gitu. Tapi ini kelas bantang ini. Kelas bantang. Dia tidak begitu lebar ya, pendek dan memang tidak dihuni juga. Jadi tempat yang sakral lah di situ kita laksanakan itu upacara adat.
In addition to ceremonies, the longhouse also serves as a court of law, a place to resolve disputes among tribe members, and if necessary, dish out punishments for the guilty. As a sacred place, not just anyone can come by unannounced. Visitors to the longhouse must participate in a brief ceremony before they are given permission to enter.
Kami orang-orang Dayak ini kan setiap tamu yang datang pada masa zaman dahulunya itu memang harus melalui proses adat. Pada waktu zaman masa dahulu, tamu ini kan datang dari mana kita nggak tahu. Dia membawa apa kita tidak tahu. Ya. Untuk pembersihan itu, untuk membersihkan semua agar itu menjadi bersih dan baik, itu mesti ada kita sambut secara, kita beritahu para leluhur kita yang ada di sini. Orang ini bagus, kedatangannya baik, untuk kebaikan, bukan untuk yang tidak baik. Maka kita beritahu dulu. Nah, setiap rumah itu, kalau orang Dayak itu dianggap ada penghuninya, leluhurnya di situ, supaya dia jangan kaget gitu. ini siapa yang datang gitu kan, kok nggak beritahu gitu. Makanya ini kita beritahu dulu, ada tamu mau datang di sini, mau lihat keadaan situasi rumah panjang, ya kita minta dalam keadaan baik, selamat, yang bagus gitu. Itu tadi itu maknanya seperti itu.
The Dayak people have a strong sense of spirituality, which is reflected in their daily life. Everything has a meaning, from the animal skulls that adorn their traditional garb, to the tattoo patterns on their body, and especially in their various ceremonial dances. These dances are performed for many different occasions. Some are used as preparation before a battle, as a celebration for a bountiful harvest, or simply to welcome a guest. I've got 2 left feet, but I still wanted to learn some Dayak moves. Thankfully, a pair of Dayak brothers, Theodorus and Patrixius, are here to teach me some of theirs.
So what they're teaching me now is a traditional Dayak dance that is used commonly to greet guests who come over to the Rumah Panjang. And what I'm learning now is that the dance really tries to emulate something a bird would do when they're dancing. So the hand movements and the shoulders all try to emulate the large wingspan of a bird. And it all just tries to flow as much as possible with the beat and the dance of the music. So really just have to let go and not too focus on the minute details and just focus on the dance.
And with that, we end our brief journey into the depths of West Kalimantan. The diversity of cultures here is simply incredible, and I know that I've only scratched the surface. But even just at a glance, you can see that West Kalimantan is one of the most captivating regions in Indonesia. Especially if you're looking for a place with unique and authentic cultures and a long storied history. There's still loads to uncover here, more history to learn, more places to see, and of course, a whole lot more food to eat. So, keep your eyes peeled for our next adventure.